Oh, my bad, y'all. I forgot we was live. I had hit the button and went to a whole nother screen and totally forgot we was live, man. My bad. But like I was uh I was sitting here cuz we got a little bit of breaking news. Well, not a little bit, like a lot of it. My dumb ass. Breaking news as we open up episode 103 of Studio Sports presented by Dubby Energy. Trey Young has been traded by the Atlanta Hawks to the Washington Wizards. Trey Hawk Trey Young has been traded by the Atlanta Hawks to the Washington Wizards. Uh, Pulling up the details right now for CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert. I'm sure there's going to be some other pieces that's going to be involved in that. Um, But yeah, man, Trey Young is no longer a member of the Atlanta Hawks, as has been rumored for quite some time now. Um, when the Hawks didn't extend him this past offseason or last offseason or whatever, the writing was pretty much on the wall. Everyone knew it was time to come to a breaking point, and it got to the point where he and his agents and his team and the Hawks were having some discussions and everything, and they came up with a plan and an exit plan and everything. Um, and there you have it, tricks are for kids. The crazy part about it is that the closest this team has ever gotten to doing anything major was when he went up to New York and downed the Knicks in a playoff series up in New York. So that was pretty dope and everything. But I'm just saying though, like, man, this is crazy. He's only 27 years old. He still has a lot left in the tank. Um, Solid point guard scorer. He had the reputation of Steph Curry light or Timu Steph or what have you for his penchant for deep threes and whatnot. But don't look past his playmaking ability because he's been able to average you know upwards of you know 7, 8, 9 assists a game. So it's not like we're talking about some one trick pony or anything like that. We're talking about a guy who has you know held substantial, has put up substantial numbers in this league. So it's just interesting to see like him and the Hawks couldn't come to an agreement. The biggest thing that I was seeing was that there was never really a whole lot built around Trey Young. He does average right at 9.8, almost 10 assists a game for his career. I couldn't remember his career. I thought it was like around 8 or 9, but yeah, he's averaging right at 10 assists a game for his career. So just the 3 point percentage is down this year. Effective field goal percentage is down a bit. His PR overall career, his PR is down a couple points, but assists are down about 1 assist a game, down 2 rebounds a game, and down 6 points a game this year. So he's not having the banner year that he's used to having as far as his career numbers are concerned. However, um, with him and the team not being able to come to some sort of agreement um, on an extension and how they want to move forward, it was best for them to part ways. So that's what we got. And I mean, hey, it is what it is. It's just one of those things where I mean, yeah, he's only played in 10 games this year. You're right, but at the same time, he was their franchise guy since he got there. I mean, they made the draft day trade uh, for between Dallas and Atlanta to get Luca in Dallas and get Trey Young in Atlanta. And now neither guy is with their original team that traded for them on draft night. So these type of things tend to happen. It's a business first and foremost, and so we got to remember that it is a business. But this is something that I talked about weeks ago on the pod. It's something that was coming up that people were. It was kind of like a rumor, but I always knew there was something to it when I knew he didn't sign that extension. When Luca got his, and the talk was about Luca getting his, and how the Mavericks screwed him out of the extension with the trade to the Lakers, and blah blah blah. And I didn't see Trey Young get his. That's when I knew, like, oh shit, the same thing may happen to Trey Young. But I thought Atlanta was just gonna wait. I was like, well, maybe they're gonna wait because they've held on to him and they've tried different iterations around him. They're probably just gonna, rebuild around him again, or try a different iteration of his team. And turns out they were like, nope, let's go ahead and move on. So here we are. And the peace to everybody in the chat, Dallas, Dre, um, and whoever else this other person is in the chat. Shout out to y'all. But yeah, man. So it's a wild, wild thing. It's a wild thing. Um, Dallas says he wanted to be the big fish in a small pond. He doesn't want to be second or third fiddle on the contender. Nah, I really think that the thing is, it's it's just they never put anything around him. Like, his best teammate, I want to say he just got it, was Jalen Johnson, but Jalen Johnson's been holding it down since Trey Young has been hurt. So he needed to step up in order to, like, say, hey, I can be the guy. And I guess they're going with the youth movement. Jalen Johnson is much younger, taller, more of an NBA build to his body, as Trey Young is a little slight. But I mean, to say Trey Young is so slight, barely 165 pounds, he's been pretty durable throughout his career, I want to say. In a full season, he's played less than 70 games, one, two times. This year will be his third time in 8 years playing less than 70 games. Minus the COVID season, he played in every game. So it's just, there's some things that, no, it wasn't an exit for money. He could have stayed and made more money. When in the NBA, the way the collective bargaining agreement rules are set up, you make more money when you stay with your team. You don't make less money. So that's the way that goes. But it's just crazy, man. They they just, I don't know, man. It's wild that they couldn't come to an agreement or figure something out. Don't extensions get done in the off season? No, extensions can get done at any time. It's just you become eligible at a certain point in the off season. That's what happens. So once you become eligible in a certain off season, that's when they're normally triggered or when they're executed. But they can be signed or put in any fucking time. So yeah, man, that's just one of those things that happens. You know, people people don't realize, man, that there's so much shit that goes on with some of this stuff, and there's a lot of moving parts and other things like that. And sometimes franchises just decide that they want to move in a different direction because they don't feel like they can continue on in the direction that they're in. But yeah, this is gonna be interesting. He went to a Wizards team, and as of right now, the Wizards are way worse than the Hawks. The Hawks are actually in 10th place in the East as of right this very second at 17 and 21. The Wizards are 10 and 26 and are 6 games out of that 10th spot. They are right above the Pacers for the last place in the Eastern Conference. And they have the fourth fewest wins in the league. So he's gone from a bad situation to a worse one. But I mean, the rumor was is that he wanted to go there. So we shall see. I mean, this is just it's really interesting to me. It's really interesting to me. But I mean, to choose to go to the Wizards, like I want to go to a much worse team and situation than what I'm already in. It's just wild, man. It's wild. The next shoe to drop will be to see if the New York Knicks decide to make a move. Um, to see if Giannis gets traded. There's a couple other rumors. I want to say the Kings may have been involved in some trade rumors and stuff like that too. So let's just see how this goes. But like I said, I knew this was coming eventually. It was just a matter of time and how, where, when, why, the details and everything else is going to get worked out. I'm pretty sure there's got to be some other things involved in that trade. Um, or the Hawks just felt like, hey, you know what? We're going to get some guys back. I'm not sure if those guys are on expiring contracts or not. If they can be moved another deal or bought out or what. But you know, the Hawks and Trey Young have parted ways. He is now a member of the Washington Wizards, and we shall see how all this plays out. I think Jalen Johnson there with CJ McCallum as a solid veteran guard presence is going to be good for the Hawks. Building around that kid is going to be smart because he's a wing player that's a triple double threat. Because he's learned to be a playmaker with Trey Young being out. He's definitely picked up his scoring and his rebounding has been, fairly decent. So let's just see how this works moving forward for the Atlanta Hawks and see what pieces they can put around these guys and whatnot. Um, I know having Tyson Daniel there has been good for them, and the kid they got from France is going to be, has a lot of potential. So they got a solid young core there to work with. It's just they want to see. I guess they want to see those kids grow together and see what they can get out. So we shall see, man. We shall see. But since we on the NBA, shout out to the Boston Celtics, man, and Jalen Brown for holding it down at the two spot in the East. They only a half game up on the Knicks as of right now in that two spot at 23-12. But they doing all this without Jason Tatum. And Jalen Brown has definitely stepped up and carried a huge, huge load for them this year. So we shall see. But I was very happy to see that, and I know my daughter was talking shit about it earlier because she sent me her grades and was like, "Yeah, my grades are good for this first semester, and the Celtics this and the Bills that, and blah 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 blah." And I'm just like, "Oh my god!" But yeah, man. So we're gonna see how all this gonna turn out. But Pistons still holding down that one spot in the East at 28-9. They 4 games up on the Celtics. So shout out to them. Um, Orlando's in the seventh spot. I thought Orlando was gonna be a lot better than that this year, man. I thought that they were poised to take a step up, especially with the trade for Desmond Bain, and they finally got that outside shooting and scoring presence. So I really thought that the Magic would be doing better than what they are. They're just I don't know what it is down there. I got to watch them more closely and see what actually is going on, what's causing them to hold down that 7 seed. Cleveland is another team that I thought would be a little bit better this year. They're in the sixth seed. Philly is surprising me. I'm not gonna lie. I did not think that they would gel and be this good this quickly at 20 and 15 in the five seed, and the Raptors holding it down in the four seed. Um, Rounding out that 7 through 10, like I said, Orlando, Miami 8, Chicago at 9, and Atlanta at 10. Um, but Giannis and the Bucks are in a virtual tie with the Hawks for that 10th spot, but I believe the Hawks have the tiebreaker, so that's why they're in the 10th spot because they're both 11 and a half games back out of first place. Uh, with the Hawks being 17 and 21, the Bucks being 16 and 20. So a couple game difference there in their records, but Hawks have that 10th spot right now. Um, this is another reason why I say it's going to be interesting. Maxi is balling, yes, for Philly, but also Edgecombe, the rookie out of Baylor, VJ Edgecombe, and they just recently got Paul George back, if I'm not mistaken. So that team is going to be fun to watch the rest of the season to see how they end up fleshing out. It's good that those young guys are coming into their own, especially Edgecombe as a rookie. You know, we already knew what Maxi could do, but it's interesting to see those young guys come into their own, especially with Embiid, you know, being so hobbled. Over in the West, OKC has kind of come back to the pack. They're 5-5 in their last 10, and they're now 30-7. They were looking like they were a threat to break the single season wins record, and then just the last like week or two, like they just for last 2 weeks, like they forgot how to play basketball. You know, it's been crazy to watch them like come back to the pack. And I think what could have done it is that the Spurs kind of gave everybody the blueprint on what it's like to beat that team and how to defend that team and how to frustrate them on both ends of the floor. However, OKC is still one in the Western Conference at 30-7, followed by the Spurs. The Lakers are in the three spot, Nuggets in the five spot, Rockets holding down the five spot. Minnesota has the six spot, which those two teams are like in a virtual lock because Rockets are 22-11, they're six back, and the T Wolves are 24-13, and they're six back. But then you got to think about it though, like between 2 and 6 is only separated by a game and a half because the Spurs are 4.5 back of the Thunder, but the six seeded Timberwolves are only six back. So that lets you know just how close the middle of the pack is in that Western Conference. Looking at 7 through 10 in the West, you got the Suns, the Warriors, the Blazers, and then the Grizzlies holding down that 10 spot. Um, the Warriors have been trying to make trades and whatnot. Like the biggest thing I've seen from them is trying to get Anthony Davis from the Mavericks. So seeing that, we're going to see how that's going to play out and what they're going to have to give up because they're going to have to give up somebody like Jimmy Butler or Draymond Green, which they don't want to give up either guy. They would try to get him without giving up either of those two veterans. But we'll see what Golden State tries to pull off in order to make one last go of it in the Steph Curry era. So we'll just have to find out and see, what that team ends up looking like, once the trade deadline comes complete. But I do not see very much changing. Sometimes I think the Mavs have an outside shot at making the playoffs, and that's simply because I don't believe in the Grizzlies as much anymore. I just think that John Morant has not bought into their new coach, and there's another rumor that he may get traded. So I'm not sure how that'll affect that team and what they're currently doing. The Trailblazers are a fun young team that's growing together. Similarly to what we've seen in the past, where we've seen teams who have accumulated a bunch of young players and young draft picks and whatnot, and just kind of throw the ball out there and let them go and get a system in place with a coach who can kind of coach these guys up to their fullest capabilities. And so we'll just have to see what goes on and what happens, whatnot. Oh, my mama. It's up, man. My mama should know by now. Wednesday at 8:30, bro. Like you should know by now, man. Like, come on. Why I gotta keep? She old though, so I be having a reminder. She be forgetting this shit. Why she gonna text me back? Oh, I forgot. Did I leave a charge? No, I ain't leave no charger there. She called me to ask me, did I leave a charger at her house? Gotta love moms, man. Gotta love moms. She is hilarious. But yeah, man. Oh, but yeah, she's a Golden State fan. So when I was down there, she was talking about Curry and what they gonna do and da 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 and all this other stuff, and I just be like, whatever, mom. But yeah, man. So matter of fact, when I went down there, I was able to get my pots, couple of my pots that she had for me. The big roasting pan, the big old pot that you make gumbo in, and then the cast iron, like Dutch oven type cooker that you can fry chicken and do kind of other stuff. So man, I was so happy, bro. I made gumbo last Monday. Last Monday is when I made it. Yeah, because I came back Sunday afternoon and it was gonna be cold, and so boom, I like yeah, it's time to make this gumbo because I had everything. Like I had my sausage cut up, shrimp was already peeled, deveined, and frozen. The chicken was already there, and I had some crab meat put in it. Because I like to make mine like how my aunt and my grandmother used to make it. Like no bones, no shells, no nothing. You just fix your gumbo and eat. But hey, it is what it is. Yeah, man, that gumbo was fire. Kids loved it. I loved it. Um, I froze some of it just to make sure. Like I froze the rest of it to make sure I didn't let it, just sit in the refrigerator and go bad. That way I could have some more. And what I did was I put it in a gallon Ziploc bags and I laid it flat. So that way when I'm ready to defrost it, I could just like sit that Ziploc bag in some water, let that shit like kind of defrost a little bit. Boom, there you go. It stuff defrosts faster if it's flat. If you got a big block or a big bowl or something like that, it's gonna take forever for it to defrost. But if you lay stuff flat and it's thinner, defrost faster. Less surface area. The ice block ain't as solid. Little trick I picked up, just like paying attention to certain shit. Especially because my grandmother used to have like on my mom's side, she used to have this big ass freezer in the laundry room. It's like one of them big stand up freezers, like a size of a refrigerator. Bruh. Like we used to have to put all kind of shit in there. Oh yeah, yeah, you did see. Yeah, I did. Forgot I posted that picture of that gumbo, man. Forgot I did. Yeah, I did post that picture. Man, that shit was so good. Oh my god, it was great. It was great. I'm waiting for it to get cold again so I could defrost one of them gallon bags of gumbo that I got in the freezer. Fool, I told you I was making gumbo. I talked to you before I even went down there and said when I go down there I gotta get that pot. Because Clarence had called me and asked me about going to the LSU UH game because he had tickets. And he had asked me about the gumbo pot. I see exactly. I know I told you. Because I even told you when I came out there. I was like, yeah, man, I can't wait to make gumbo. Probably when I go back home and I get my pot, I'm gonna make gumbo in my big pot. Exactly what I did. But yeah, man. So that came out good. Was good to go home and see the fam for a little bit. But I'm gonna try to go back and go see my grandparents on my dad's side because I haven't seen them in forever. But yeah, man, I'm gonna definitely excuse me. Plus, I got some furniture, chairs, and some sofas that I gotta get from her house. She ready to put her house back together. She said so. I don't know. I don't. She couldn't fit them in her little storage shed because it wasn't big enough to fit both of them in there. So she had to put them in the house. But yeah, I gotta go get that, man, because I want to get rid of some of this other furniture I got here. But yeah, it was a good time, man. Real good time. Real good time visiting the fam a couple weeks ago. We took a little break and everything. Now we back. But yeah, man. So in the NBA, just to wrap that up right quick, like we seeing that the Thunder has come back to the pack a little bit, but they still got a 4.5 game lead in the West. Pistons still got that 4 game lead in the East. Those two teams look like they're like the Thunder were in the West last year, and Cleveland was in the East last year. So again, it's still early in the season. We're right at coming up on the midway point, the actual midway point of the season, because the 82 game schedule, everybody's around 36, 37 games roughly. So you know, we're right at that midpoint of the actual midpoint of the season, not the All Star break. Because the All Star break, I believe everybody's played like 50 or so games. So we shall see how the rest of this season plays out. But clearly, as of right now, the Pacers are. I mean, you could. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if we saw some smart ass writer give Tyrese Halliburton a vote for MVP just because the Pacers are what 6-31 right now without him, and we saw what they did last year, made it all the way to the NBA Finals. So I'm just saying, if a team goes from the NBA Finals to looks like they will barely win 15 games this year, like that's pretty significant because to go from where you were last year to that point this year, that's a hell of a drop off. Hell of a drop off. But I mean, it is what it is. But moving on to other things, by other things, I mean the NFL playoffs. The playoffs are set. Playoff picture is set. In the AFC, we have the Broncos with the 1 seed. They will get a bye and they will play the lowest remaining seed. The 4-5 matchup sees the AFC. See in the AFC sees the Texans going to visit the Steelers on Monday night. We got the Bills visiting the Jags Saturday afternoon, and we have the Chargers visiting the Patriots Saturday night. So we'll see how the AFC plays out with the Broncos getting that bye. Um, I could possibly see the Broncos, either playing the Bills, maybe the Texans. I don't know if the Chargers have enough to beat the Patriots to say they'll face the Broncos. I really think if it's going to be a team that's going to face the Broncos, it's going to be the Bills or the Texans. Because that Texans defense is just, it's nasty. And they fly around, and all that offense has to do, even though that offense has struggled a lot this year, all that offense has to do is score anywhere between 17 and 21 points, and they should win every single game. Because that defense barely gives up 15, 16 points a game. So scoring 17 to 21 should put you in a safe spot in order to win. The Jags have come on this year, but for some reason, until I see them do it in the playoffs, I do not believe in them. So that's why I'm 9 times out of 10 I'm going with the Bills over the Jags. And like I said, I just don't feel like the Chargers have enough to overcome the Patriots because their offensive line is in shambles. Um, they got Marion Hampton back at running back, and that defense has been decent. But I just don't think that they can protect Justin Herbert well enough and give him enough time to get the ball down the field. And that I don't think that I just don't trust them. And the Patriots have been solid all year. So I just feel like that's how that game is gonna go. Then over in the NFC, you got the Seahawks with the bye and the number 1 seed in the NFC. Got the Rams visiting the Panthers, which the Rams are a 10.5 point favorite visiting the Panthers, which is crazy. Um, It's understandable because the Panthers basically backdoored their way in with that 8-9 record, winning the NFC South because they needed the Falcons to beat the Saints, which neither of those teams qualify for the playoffs. But that's what they needed in order to win the division. So I could see why the Rams are a heavy favorite over the Panthers. The 49ers visit the Eagles, which should be a really good matchup. Um, the Eagles have been up and down this year, and the 49ers have dealt with a ton of injuries. So that game should be really interesting Saturday afternoon. And then we have the Bears and the Packers, which, as much of a rivalry as those two teams have, it's amazing that this is only the third time that they've met in the playoffs. So that should be interesting as well. Jordan Love is healthy. He is back. He is good to go. So we shall see how that is going to go in that game, which a division rivalry like that, and the Packers are favored by a point and a half in that game. So we're going to see who's going to do what in that game and how who's going to come out on top. Um, wouldn't be surprised if the Packers won that game, but I also wouldn't be surprised if the Bears were able to beat the Packers. That was kind of a coin flip for me, but I'm gonna go with the Packers because they have more experience. I think I'm gonna go with the Packers in that one. I think I'm gonna go with the Eagles to get it done at home against the 49ers, and I'm definitely going with the Rams over the Panthers. So Seahawks will most likely face either the Packers or the Rams because I don't feel like the 49ers are going to be able to do it. Matter of fact, one of their one of their linebackers just got hurt and he's out for the season now. And he was one of the guys that stepped up after Fred Warner got hurt. So it's like shit. They really have like they're dealing with a ton of injuries again. And I just don't feel like they're gonna have enough to overcome the Eagles because I feel like the Eagles at home in the playoff game in Philly, I just think that that's gonna be a walkthrough for them on Saturday. I'm sorry, yeah, they're playing Saturday, and then is Rams Panthers Saturday, and Packers Bears is on Saturday. We got Eagles 49ers, Jags Bills, and Patriots Chargers on Sunday, and then the Steelers and the Texans on Monday. So yeah, that's gonna be looking great. I can't wait for it. Um, we really gonna see some good football this weekend. Um, is if I was to have to pick a Super Bowl, hmm, I'm gonna have to say the Rams out of the NFC. I'm gonna say Bills Rams. Bills Rams. It's either gonna be the Rams or the Seahawks, one of the two. Because I just feel like in the NFC, those two teams have been pretty consistent all year on both sides of the ball. And if they stay healthy, I could see either one of those two teams coming out of the NFC. Over in the AFC, man, it's hard to argue against what the Broncos and the Patriots have held it down all year. But with them having young quarterbacks in the playoffs, I'm not sure if they're capable of getting it done just yet. So I'm a little bit leery. And the two teams that I was looking at would be the Bills and the Texans. Not just because I live in Houston, but because that defense is ridiculous. And anytime a team has a defense like that, defense wins championships. Offense sells tickets. And anytime you only have to score about 20 points a game in order to give your team a chance to win, the less points per game that you have to score in order to be effective, the better of a chance that you have at winning. And so by that defense being so nasty, it's always going to put a team like that to me at the top of mind, which is why I believe in the Rams and the Seahawks so much because those defenses are so nasty. Plus, those offenses can put up the kind of points that they can generate the kind of lead and the kind of points to where that defense feels more comfortable to pin their ears back and play, scare free. So we shall see, man. We shall see. Rams out of the NFC. Yeah, I that bruh, it's like Matthew Stafford when you can keep him upright and healthy and get some decent weapons around him is a great quarterback. Sam Darnold has proven like he's resurrected his career with what he did last year in Minnesota, and then came back this year and played well to prove it wasn't a fluke. So just to see those guys play the way they're playing, it's not surprising to me that people think that they have a better shot because those offenses are good. They're really, really good, but so are those defenses. And when you have both of those working for you effectively at a pretty decent or a high level, you always got a better chance to win. Bills or Patriots in the AFC. Yeah, I tend to kind of agree with you. The only reason why I said Texans is because I just feel like it's just something about a second year quarterback in a Drake May or Bo Nix that mm, I'm just not sold on just yet. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. But yeah, we'll see. Puka Nakua is a four. Yeah, bro. Anytime you get a quarterback, and he has a guy that, or really, I'll put it like this: anytime you have a play caller like a Sean McVay, and he has a guy like a Puka Nakua who can do different things and he can move him around and put him in different places. That's what those guys look for. That's what they cherish. That's what they love. That's what they fall in love with. That's what they care about. That's what gets them going. Is because you can put a guy like that in different positions and he can do everything pretty well effectively. And the thing that I love the most is how they move him around, especially have him in motion before plays to kind of get the defense kind of going a little bit. And they'll set him in motion from one side to the other. They'll snap the ball with him in motion. They'll put him, and when they send him in motion, they don't always just send him to a traditional wide receiver spot. Like I've even seen him line up kind of like an H back, like right up on the tackle or the tight end, almost going in motion. They used him as a decoy. They used him as a blocker. They used him to kind of get him to rub coverages to get him open. So just the way that he's able to run routes and things that he's able to do and do them effectively, what they call for him to do, and the way Stafford's able to get him the ball, it just makes that connection that much more powerful. Adding Devontae Adams gave him another guy that he knows like his catch radius is 10 feet wide or whatever, and I know that he can get the ball. Like I know if I throw it up to him, I know he's gonna go get it. Um, just having those guys and then having the running backs that they have and that line has held up this year. Like it's really been fun to see what that offense can do once they have certain pieces in place and Matthew Stafford is healthy. Who does Puka remind you of from the past? Mm, let me see. Definitely not Moss. Definitely not To because those guys were like athletic freaks. Not really Harrison because Harrison was like this really quick an athletic route technician, right? More of a Jerry Rice, I would say, but like a different version of Jerry Rice. I'm trying to think, man. Like kind of like how Rod Smith was in the Broncos offense with John Elway. How they would, use him in different places and stuff like that. No, Puka is a great route runner. I'm just saying, like he has like a much stronger build than some of those route runners like Marvin Harrison. They're slight guys. Puka's a bigger dude, but he's not like the type of athlete like Tio or Moss was, like to be able to run that fast or anything. He got okay speed, but he's not like a burner, like can run past he's just a really solid guy. He reminds me like if Adam Thielen was a little bit more athletic, he reminds me a lot of Adam Thielen. Like a solid route runner, great hands, good blocker. You know, you can move him around. He can play in different places. Very reliable. but he's not gonna jump off the page like as far as like his speed and quickness is concerned. He's somebody more like that. Um, but yeah, he's great receiver nonetheless. Like I just I love his game and I love the way that he's able to get so much done and so much accomplished and he's not pigeonholed into just one position. Like you can't just play him at the X or you don't just play him at the Y or the Z. You play him all over. And when you have a guy like that who's capable of doing so much more, then you just naturally you can. There's so many different things that you can do, and so many different plays that you can call and whatnot. It's one of those things, man, where when you get a guy like that with a play caller like McVay and a quarterback like Matthew Stafford, you can make magic happen. Um, Shit, similar to just recently, Michael Thomas in New Orleans with Drew Brees, a guy who's a big physical guy, can run different routes and whatnot, but he has a certain few things that he does very well. And they move him around in different places. That's another one. Um, Kind of like Welker, I would say a little bit, but the difference is Welker was more of a slot guy, whereas Puka goes everywhere, outside, inside, left side, right side. It don't even matter. He just lines up. But yeah, it's more along the lines of a good route runner with great hands who can also be physical. So anybody that you can think of that was a solid route runner with great hands who was also physical, those are the type of guys I would say that Puka reminds me of the most. But again, I just love watching the guy play because he's a solid ass football player who doesn't mind doing all the dirty work or anything like that. Um, so he's definitely one of those guys I would say that I would definitely keep an eye on and watch. Because he's somebody that's going to be that next phase of receiver. Because when you get a receiver, it's cool if they're like a burner, or but if you're only a 1-2 trick pony, you're not gonna be able to do very much in the league. And nowadays, so many different players are asked to do so many different things at different positions that you have to be multifaceted. And the good thing is that Puka is one of those guys that is truly multifaceted. So we'll see where this goes and how this ends up. Um, but I'm definitely looking forward to this weekend's games. I cannot wait to be a couch potato all day Saturday and all day Sunday, so I can just sit back and watch football all day long. That is going to be awesome. I don't know about y'all, but looky here, a little Saturday evening, uh, Sunday all day action on football. I'm definitely down for it. You feel me? Um, but yeah, NFL like it's gonna be great, and I cannot wait. Um, as far as the ladies are concerned, on the ladies' side, last I heard of the WNBA, they're still going back and forth with the Players Association as far as their collective bargaining agreement is concerned. It seems like they're still at an impasse. The ladies have been speaking about it at Unrivaled because Unrivaled just started. They're getting underway, so definitely give them a look and check them out. But I'm going to definitely be keeping an eye on that CBA talk in the WNBA and trying to see what the heck is going to go on with them. Um, but that's definitely something I want to keep my eye on because, like, with the new revenue that's coming in, you got to give the players more money. You can't just try to hold them and stall them out. It's time to start, sharing the funds and sharing the wealth a little bit more. And that's what those ladies are arguing for. As far as college basketball is concerned, oh no, I didn't mean to go to this. This is the one I want to go to. There we go. Rank, my standings, rank. Uh, we got two different number ones. If you look at the coaches poll, Michigan is number one. You look at the AP poll, Arizona is number one. After that, it's pretty much the same, almost the same top 10. Iowa State, UConn, Purdue, Duke, UH, Gonzaga, BYU, and Nebraska round out the AP's top 10. And then you have Iowa State, UConn, Purdue, Duke, UH, Gonzaga, BYU, and then Vanderbilt is number 10. Uh, Vandy and Nebraska have swapped spots in the two polls. But both of those teams are undefeated. Both of those teams are not known for their basketball programs. Both have produced some guys in the past, but they're both right now undefeated. And they're both in big conferences. So two undefeated teams in a bigger conference. They're going to start to get their name and their weight recognized more now that we're going to get into conference play. Once they get into conference play and they start like kind of showcasing what they can do, uh, then we'll see, where those two teams will fall as far as the rankings are concerned. But I love seeing, new blood in that top 10. Um, Being that they play in Vanderbilt and SEC and in Nebraska and the Big Ten, you're going to see them play some tough conference games. So this is where the pedal the the pedal meets the metal. This is where the rubber meets the road, where it's time to like show up and shut everybody up. Like this, out of conference schedule is no fluke. This record is no joke. We're for real. Um, Still got a handful of undefeated teams. Got a bunch of one loss teams in the rankings in the top 25. Um, and like I said, this is the part of the season where it gets down to the nitty gritty because now you're playing teams that know you very well. The coaching staffs know each other very well. So now it's time to like show up or shut up. Basically, it's shit to get off the pot. It's that time of the year in college basketball. Over on the women's side of things, pull up the rankings quick. Uh, we got pretty much the same top few teams that we've had over the last couple weeks. With UConn, Texas, South Carolina, and UCLA holding down 1 through 4. That has not changed. Over on the AP side, we got OU at 5, Kentucky at 6, Vandy at 7, Maryland at 8, Michigan at 9, and Louisville rounding out the top 10. On the coaches side, we got OU at 5, Vandy at 6, Kentucky at 7, Maryland at 8, Michigan at 9, and TCU at 10. Same thing on the ladies side. I'll say it on the men's side. You got a bunch of undefeated. You got some one loss teams in there. You got a couple two loss teams in there. But again, we getting into conference play. This is where the rubber meets the road. You know what I'm saying? Um, LSU. Oh gosh, I can't remember who LSU lost to, but they dropped 7 spots. They was top 5, but they dropped. I can't remember who team they lost to, but they're the biggest slider on the women's side. Them and TCU. TCU dropped 5 spots. Over on the men's side, I forgot to see who were the biggest sliders. Biggest risers were Kentucky and Vandy. They're both up 5 spots into the top 10 now. Both of those teams into the top 10. OU is up 4 spots on the coach's side. OU is up 3 spots on the coach's side, and Vandy and Kentucky are definitely up 5 spots. No, I'm sorry, Michigan State. Michigan State is up 9 spots. They went from barely making it to the top 25 to at 15. So they were the biggest gainer this past week. Over on the men's side, and let's take a look at this. Biggest fall was Kansas, dropped 5 spots on the AP side, 4 spots on the coaches side. No, I'm sorry, Louisville and North Carolina dropped 5 spots on the coaches side, and North Carolina dropped 5 spots on the also dropped 5 spot on the AP side. Biggest riser looks like Illinois up 4 spots to number 16 on the AP side, and it looks like they're also tied with Arkansas and Alabama, rising up 3 spots on the coach's side. So a little bit of moving and shaking there. Not a whole lot, but like I said, once it gets to conference play, that's when we start to see college basketball really kick into high gear. Same thing like the NBA, Christmas Day and afterwards. That's when you see the NBA really kicking gear. To me, when you get to that holiday schedule and stuff like that, that's in the conference schedule. That's when you get to like, all right, we get to separate the ones that are really good and the ones who are really fake. Uh, Blue bloods better turn that blood green. Man, look, they ain't gonna have no problem. It's when you get those smaller schools that got a bunch of juniors and seniors on their teams going against one of those Power Five schools that's got like, you know what I'm saying, fucking a bunch of one and dones and whatnot, and those group of juniors and seniors been playing together all those years, and they got certain things in place, man. That's when you see, you know what I'm saying, those teams tend to really separate themselves, and it's all because of the chemistry and just basketball IQ. That's what separates everything. So I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see, man. We'll see. But I just feel like there's got to be some separation at some point, but nobody's really separating themselves just yet. Um, the closest I've seen the separation, to be perfectly honest with you, it normally happens on the women's side of things. Because we always tend to see one or two, maybe three or four teams that look totally dominant for the year, and that's like, okay, these three or four teams are probably going to win a national championship on the women's side. On the men's side, it's becoming more difficult and more muddled. Not just because of one and done it and NIL, like it's always kind of been like that. Because you'll see a team that looks really good and looks dominant, but then tournament time comes, or conference tournament time, or that conference schedule comes in, and then they don't look as dominant as they did before. On the women's side of things, you tend to see that dominance continue through conference schedule, conference tournaments, and in the tournament. It holds more true on the women's side. But again, I'm looking forward to watching both seasons play out. Um, we've had a string of crazy performances. Like, I know Hannah Hidalgo at Notre Dame has been going nuts the last week or so. Audie Crooks has been putting up stupid numbers. I'm trying to think of who else on the women's side has been standing out. There have been a few of them, but oh gosh, the guard from UH last night. I think it's Fleming. 9 points in like a minute and a half, 2 minutes or whatever to help them, secure that win last night. Like it's just certain little things that we see that these kids do that I'm always impressed with. Cameron Boozer over at Duke has been just every bit of as good and talented as he was with the hype coming in. So that's another thing to watch there. But yeah, man, it's been solid so far. Been really solid so far, college basketball season. I'm looking forward to getting into the nitty gritty things when it comes into the conference tournaments right now. I was going to be watching some college basketball right now, but I'm sitting here watching this Lakers and this Spurs game. The Spurs got the throwback court with the teal, the pink, and the orange, and the little southwestern design on the court and whatnot. Um, so that's always kind of funny to see. And LeBron is not playing tonight, so to see Luca and the squad go at it without LeBron is always interesting to look at. But yeah, man, I've been really enjoying basketball again this year. Definitely got to check out some of the unrivaled games since they've uh, started and kicked off and everything. Um, Definitely want to check some of them out. Now the other thing is too the college football playoff. I knew it was something else. Um, Looking at this playoff, man. Hold up, let me pull up the schedule right quick. There we go. Okay, so in these, let's see. Okay, here we go. So we got Ole Miss and Miami. That's tomorrow. Oh snap! I didn't realize those games was tomorrow and Friday. I totally forgot about that. That's gonna be at the Fiesta Bowl tomorrow at 6:30, and then Oregon, Indiana is gonna be Friday at 6:30 at the Peach Bowl in Atlanta. Mm. Now Miami is the favorite in the other game, 3.5, and Indiana is the favorite in the other game, 3.5. So, mm, yeah, I could see Miami winning that Ole Miss game, and then I could definitely see Indiana beating Oregon in the battle of the two guys that they feel like are the top two quarterbacks that potentially be in this draft, even though Mendoza has not declared or Dante Moore has not declared as of yet. So that's going to be interesting to see. But I still feel like Indiana, the way that defense plays and the way Mendoza can command that offense, even to come back if they're down, and just stare in the ice water in the veins, and those guys just execute down the stretch, especially like what they did at Penn State, and I believe, oh gosh, I can't remember the other one, man. They had two of those wins. The Penn State one was the one that came to come to mind first because that was the last one. They had that one touchdown in the back of the end zone. But then they had another game like that that they came back and won like in the last final seconds or last plays or whatever the hell it was. A few little things or whatever. But man, it's gonna be so dope to see though. Like I can't wait. Um, but I definitely think it's gonna end up being probably Miami and Indiana playing in the championship game on the 19th. Best thing about the Hurricanes, Michael Irvin. Hell yeah, bro. Hell yeah. Hey, look who came into work.
Jesus Christ, why is it so black? I'm black, but I ain't that black. God damn.
I don't know though. We can't even see you.
Jesus. I mean, I'm not that dark, but shit. Jesus. I ain't even got another light to turn on. I think it's because of the break. I'm in the room tonight. Fuck
Oh,
it.
okay.
Y'all can see me a little. Like I'm
That's probably
shadow.
what it is.
I think it
Nah,
is.
but I was just
Right.
talking about the CFP. I totally forgot the game was tomorrow and Friday.
Yeah, because of the NFL playoffs first
Bruh,
wild card weekend.
totally forgot the games was tomorrow and Friday until
Yeah.
I was going through everything I did, cover everything. I was like, oh, I forgot CFP. And I looked it up. I was like, oh shit. It's tomorrow and Friday. That was like the last thing I had to hit on. I was like, oh shit, I didn't even realize it was tomorrow.
All right,
But yeah,
Drake.
man.
Relax with that midnight black.
I definitely see Miami beating Ole Miss. I just feel like Ole Miss is, that Cinderella slipper is going to fall off eventually. And what they're doing, continuing to play the way that they've been playing without Lane Kiffin is great. But
Mm-hmm.
with them missing certain position coaches this week and stuff like that, and that staff shrinking again this week to prepare for this game, I just don't feel like they're gonna have quite enough. And I think with all the stuff hanging over Trinidad Chambliss's head with the NCAA and everything, I think that has to be some sort of distraction for them this week.
Yeah, and I mean it's wrong. It reminds me of Ohio State last year. How
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the season that Michigan game turned it around for them. Miami's kind of had that same thing where they
Mm-hmm.
got it together and they're rolling at the right point in time. Nobody had them beating who was it first? Texas A&M the first game.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody. I love Miami. That's my team. Then nobody had them beating Ohio State for sure. Nobody had
Mm-hmm.
them beating Ohio State. So like at this point, you've beat two of the toughest teams. I don't think there's anybody else in your way. Like I look at who's left. I don't think Indiana's scary. Um, I think that Miami defense is amazing. This
Mm-hmm.
is one of those years where the defense is really holding the team down, and the offense is doing enough to score. And I think
And
that's going to continue. Because when you
the
look
thing
at
is,
who's left outside of Oregon, Oregon has a very high-powered offense.
mm-hmm.
Um, they're probably the scariest as far as the offenses go, and their defense also. So I like Dante
Honest,
Moore.
I would say, oh, Miss's offense is scarier. Well,
Mm,
because the reason why I say that
yeah.
is because Keywan Lacey at running back
Hey,
is a
brother.
monster, and
I
Chambliss is coming to his own this year.
the best thing, two of the best things they did was Chambliss and Lacey.
Mm-hmm.
Lacey leaving
Yep.
Missouri and going there. You know, I'm familiar with Lacey, and it's funny because me and Quan talk about this all the time. I'm so familiar with certain players because of us playing NCAA games.
I was just about to say.
And that's what it was when we played that 3-star league and I had Missouri. So I
Hmm.
was very much familiar with Lacey. I was familiar
Hmm.
with M. Bain that the Jets drafted. Um what's the old boy that Chicago got, the wide receiver?
Luther Burton.
Luther Burton, same thing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got super familiar with them from
Hmm.
playing the game, and I'm like, nah, Lacey is one of them ones. And my going to Ole Miss was perfect for him because he
Hmm.
stayed in the SEC, but he just leveled up as far as the competition in the school he was at. And he was going to show the same thing on a bigger stage. And that's exactly what he's been doing. I
Yep.
think he's a premier back that whoever drafts him when he does go in, they're getting a dog, a real dog.
The only thing I'm worried about though is like some of these backs in college, like if you can't do certain things that they need you to do as far as like pass protection and running routes and different shit like that in the league level,
Genty.
you're gonna hurt. Well, Genty, to be honest with you,
I think it just took
like
he had to get his footing, and he went to the
it,
Raiders. I mean,
it's the Raiders. It's the team that he went to, and a lot of the times it has a lot to do with the team that you go to. Like perfect example, I'll never forget when Sean Payton had Alvin Kamara,
mm,
and he raved about Alvin Kamara after that workout at Tennessee. And I was like, anytime Sean Payton raves about a guy after a workout and does extra work with him after a private workout like that, like he's interested. And there's something that he sees in this kid that he can like, maneuver him around with. It's just like with
I love Kamara.
I was just talking about it earlier with Sean McVay and Puka Nakua.
Ah,
McVay
I
moves
love Puka.
Puka.
Hey,
McVay
Puka's a
moves Puka around everywhere. Uses him as a decoy, an extra blocker. Oh, Puka's
because a
just
lot of
running
times
open
with
field.
Puka, he's at the Puka's become, and JSN is getting into that same discussion with the way he played this year. And if he
Hmm.
continues this just like Puka did, it's getting to the point where the other receivers are gonna benefit off of that, like you said, because they're going to be the distraction because they're going to get double teamed. But the
Yep,
great thing about the Rams is you can double team Puka, but Devontae's right there. You can double
exactly.
team Devontae, Puka's right there. You can try to put whoever on both of them, Tutu's right there. Like they have, and
They
then
they
you
got
got they
weapons.
have weapons. Then you got Higby and I forgot the other. They got two tight ends. They really have,
Exactly.
or they're gonna run the ball. Like they have a lot on that offense now to where you have to watch for everybody. They're probably one of the
Yeah.
most dangerous teams in the playoffs this year, in
I
my opinion.
said when I was picking, because earlier I was talking about it. I said, okay, if I had to pick two teams out of each conference that I feel like could make the playoffs, it was the Rams and the Seahawks in the NFC, and it
Mm,
was the Bills and the Texans in the AFC. And the only reason why I picked the Texans over the Patriots or the Broncos is because I've seen what CJ Stroud can do because this is his third year in a row doing this, and that
mhm.
defense is nasty. Anytime you have a team where it's like, okay, if the offense can score 20, the defense gonna hold you down.
Yep,
That right there alone is like, okay, I know that offense is struggling, but they're putting it together.
at the
If
right
that
time.
Yeah, if that defense can stay the way they've been playing, I don't give a fuck what the trends say about teams with so many game winning streaks heading into the playoffs. They've never made the Super Bowl. I just look at this team as like, no, this team is built different because of the way that defense is.
Mhm.
And I just feel like I'm not quite sold on Drake May and Bo Nix yet in their second year, but hey, they
I'm
may
not
fuck
either.
around and prove me wrong. I,
I'm
I'd be
not
glad.
either.
I'd be glad to be wrong about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think the AFC is very wide open.
Hmm.
Um, I think this is, and I've been saying this for the last couple of days. I ain't gonna say the last. Well, I'll say the last week or two, because we knew the Chiefs were out, and then we just found out, like the Ravens were going to be out this weekend because it was
Hmm.
kind of win or go home. Um, but now you have an AFC playoffs with no Mahomes, no Lamar, no Brady. I mean, it's been no Brady, but still. And
Hmm.
this is the Bills' best chance to just walk through and get there because they have more experience than anybody else. They have
Yep.
more experience than the Pats, way more than Houston. They have. I think the problem with the Bills is going to be the defense more than the offense
Yes.
because the offense is going to score. Josh Allen's going to do a lot with nothing.
The only thing about their offense that concerns me is
I need Keon Coleman to show up. That's what the hell I
they
need. I
they
need him
don't
to figure it out.
have exactly. They don't have like that wide receiver that you can say, okay, this is the guy that we're going to. It's
This
mainly
is
go
his time, though. I
tight
think
end.
somebody needs to have a pep talk with him. Like, hey, bro, this is the playoffs now, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, regular season, you were quiet. You ain't do a lot. Turn up. Turn up.
It's the same
Big
reason why I
stage.
feel
Turn up.
when I'm looking at the CFP, why I feel like Miami is one of those teams that could shock some people.
I think this our
And
year.
I
I
wouldn't be
really
surprised
think this is our year.
If Miami wins the that simply because Carson Beck is used to playing these big games at Georgia,
Yes. Yes.
so he
And
has
he's
that
the reason we've
experience.
won the
He's
last
seen
two.
them.
To be complete, I mean,
Exactly.
don't get me wrong. I love our defense has been playing lights out. The run game, the wide receivers have stepped up. All of them.
Mhm.
Daniels and Malachi Tone, not Tony, but Malachi, them two. Getting Daniels from LSU, and me and you talked about this in the beginning of the season. I said that he was going to be the difference maker for
Yep.
that offense. I wasn't super familiar with him. I was, but wasn't. I know
Hmm.
you were, and we had talked about it.
Hmm.
He's a key piece. Tony, I mean Malachi. I keep wanting to say Malachi Tony. I think that is his name. But
Yeah, that's his name. That's that little freshman,
yeah,
bro. He
yeah,
is,
he's a bro.
bro.
He reminds me so much of Jeremiah Smith of Ryan Williams. Like he just has it. And I hope Miami doesn't lose him to NIL or a bigger school or something like that. I'm really hoping that he wants to stay there and build, with that program. Um, Not just being a Miami guy, but just in general.
He's such an X factor though. It's like
Yes.
he reminds me a lot of a little bit of he got a little Steve Smith in him
A little Xavier Worthy too. That type
because
of like,
he's fast, but
yeah,
he can be physical.
yeah,
And that's why I say he reminds me a little bit of Steve Smith because Steve Smith was one of those right. Steve Smith was only 5'9", 180. He wasn't like this huge dude, but Steve Smith was tough as shit and he didn't back down from nobody. He wasn't scared to take contact or anything. He wasn't scared to go across the middle. He wasn't scared to do a lot of different things. And the thing about it is they use Malachi Tony almost similarly to the way, kind of like how the 49ers used to use Debo Samuel in these different positions and stuff. And he can get the ball out of the backfield. He can line up in the slot. He'll line up out wide. Like they move him around that much that he's one of those X factor type of players. And I love watching those kind of guys play and get used properly in the offense. And he's just one of those guys when he's on the field, it's always, hey, where is 10? Where's 10?
but
Locate 10. Where's 10? He's one of those guys. And whenever you have a guy like that on your team and the defense has to focus on him, where he's at and what he's doing, that takes a lot of their attention away from everybody else. And just like we talked about with Puka, with JSN and some of these other guys, when you have a guy on that offense that takes the defense's total attention away and
mhm.
focuses it on him, it opens it up for everybody else. All you need is the offensive line to hold up and the quarterback to make the right decision and put the ball where it needs to be.
Yep, yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to these games that's coming up this weekend with the playoff
This
games,
I was gonna
college
say this next
football,
4 days
and
is gonna be amazing. Amazing football these
NFL.
next 4 days.
I can't wait.
Sam, I'm locked in. I'm definitely locked in.
I cannot wait.
Even with us playing, like I'm just excited in general. Like playoff football on both sides, college and the NFL is amazing because that's when you find out who's a contender and who's a pretender. Like you really find out
Exactly.
who wants it and who doesn't and who wants it more.
Mhm.
Um, we're gonna kill the 49ers. I'm not worried. I gotta
Hey
say that.
man, this my
But
thing with that
I
game,
might be a little scared of the 49ers only because, and I've talked about this, they are the epitome of next man up to
bruh.
the fullest.
I was just like when I was talking about the game earlier, I said I think that they have one too many injuries to beat the Eagles, but all it takes is for the Eagles to have one of them off games and the
Uh-huh.
49ers are gonna the 49ers, they don't play up and down. They play pretty consistent. The Eagles have been up and down this year. If they have one of them down games, they're gonna lose.
Man. I was telling somebody the other day, man, I want to fire our OC so bad, and I want Cliff Kingsbury to come over. because I like he's a quarterback coach, and he's the kind of coach that Jalen needs.
Hmm.
Like Kingsbury would do so much with our offense. Oh my god! Like I know he would. I
I
really
think
do.
you know who else they
But
need to go
I
and
think
talk
he.
to. Um, Gosh, he used to be the OC for the Ravens with Lamar, and I want to say he was with San Francisco at one point too. I cannot remember his
Uh,
name, but
you talking
he
about
worked.
before the last OC? Not the one that's there
Yes,
now, but the one that
yes.
over the one before the one that got
I can't remember his
the
name, but I
Seahawks job.
know. Yeah, I know he used to work with Kaepernick and them, and then he worked with Lamar early on. I can't remember his name, but he would be Darrell Bevel would be another guy to look at
Mm.
because he was with Seattle when they had Russ in his early years.
Ah, okay.
I'm trying to think of the newer young up and coming coaches. That could be a good OC.
Yeah, this I'm really in Todd Monken.
Todd Monken. Yeah, there's some guys like that. Like, you know what I'm
No, but you
saying?
know he's Seattle. Monken is I thought is Monken the Seattle head coach?
I can't remember, but I
Yeah,
know I know there was another guy, but there's a bunch of them around the league that let me see who is Todd Monken.
no, Mike McDonald was their head coach. Yeah, so Monken. Yeah, I like Monken. I do. Damn, McDonald's only we're the same age. That's crazy. We're like a month
Hmm.
apart. I didn't know that. His
Yeah,
birthday
bro.
is June 26th. We're
No,
literally
Monken
like
is the OC now. It was the OC
okay.
before him.
So it was Mike McDonald, and Mike McDonald is the no, Mike McDonald's the defense. He was the defensive coordinator. So
Bro, I can't remember
who's
who
the
it was,
OC?
man. Let me figure it out. Give me one
Yeah, he
second.
was the yeah. McDonald was the defensive coordinator.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. But no, like
But I
they
get what
need a
you
quarterback. They need a coach there. If the Eagles had somebody who could like work with Jalen and know how to take advantage of his skill set,
man.
that would be perfect. Because you need
Because look
somebody
at the
that
weapons we have on offense.
that's
Like
what I'm saying.
it
They
is
got
no
a good
way
line, they got
our
a great
record
running
should have
back,
been
and they
what it
got
was
wide
this
receivers,
year.
and they got a tight end. Like you have but the thing is like it's not just the play calling sometimes it's the execution of it.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's
for
like
sure.
I'm not knocking Jalen or nothing. It's just like it seems like how sometimes how players complain about how offenses are too complicated or too this or too that. Like that was one of the knocks against trying to go with the Patriots system is because it had a lot of option routes in it. And it depended on the quarterback and the wide receivers and tight ends and running backs and whatever to be on the same page. Greg
Greg
Roman,
Roman.
that's who it was. I knew. I was
Okay,
like, God damn it, I knew it was somebody. I couldn't think of his name, but yeah,
Greg
Greg
Roman.
Roman would
Yeah,
be a
yeah,
guy to
yeah.
look at. That's who it was. But that Patriots offense had a lot of option routes, and like I said, it required the quarterback and the receivers, excuse me, to be on the same page.
Yeah.
And if you're not on the same page, the shit is not going to work. And you have to have an accurate trigger man, and him and his receivers have to be on the exact same page when it comes to certain things like that. Or another thing is what I've heard about that makes offenses a lot more complicated is when you have when the language is complicated itself for the play call or stuff. There's just a bunch of little stuff like that that all goes into it. Bottom line, what the Eagles need is somebody that knows, hey, I have an athletic quarterback who can be pretty accurate, but these are his strengths, these are his weaknesses, these are the weapons that we have. Let's take advantage of it. And one thing that I love about play callers like Kyle Shanahan, Andy Reid, Sean McVay, Sean Payton, is that they look at what they have and they're like, okay, how can I cook with what I got?
Mm-hmm.
How can I cook with what I got? And they'll figure out something. And it's just one of them things where you just have to figure it out. On the defensive side of things, when I look at a guy like a Steve Spagnuolo or Aaron Glenn or guys like that or D'Amico Ryan, like I know they have certain styles of their defense that they like to have. Like D'Amico likes fast guys, guys who can run and get to the football. Spagnolo loves to mix in his blitzes and stuff like that. There's just certain things that certain coaches that's their calling card. But you always want to make sure you maximize what your quarterback can do. And if
Mm-hmm.
your quarterback is severely limited, well, then you need to make sure you put everything around him in order to help him succeed. And it's just one of those things where they have to get back to where they were before, as far as getting in a groove of calling plays and feeling more comfortable. They have to find something that's more comfortable for the whole entire team, not just for this one person. So it takes time, it takes effort, it takes like somebody who can really come in there and diagnose and figure it the fuck out. But I have no doubt that that team is going to figure it out because anytime you have that kind of talent, it
Yeah,
shouldn't be hard for you to figure it out if you're a quality coach.
that's why I'm looking at like, and I'm sure you went over it already. I'm looking at a lot of these head coaching vacancies right now.
Man.
It is some very interesting and good jobs out there. Of course, the Ravens job being, in my opinion, probably the best one because you have an
I think so.
MVP quarterback. I
Mhm.
think, in my opinion, the second best job out there, the second and third, and it depends on where you want to rank them. I think the Giants and the Falcons are 2 and 3. I personally, it don't matter who's two, who's three, but those three are probably, in my opinion, the top three jobs because of the rosters that are already there, and you needing to add the right free agents and the right draft picks to go along with that. Bringing in the right staff, of course. I think Atlanta probably is number two just because of Bijan. You got Drake London. You just need to add one or two more wide receivers, shore up that O line a little better. The Giants, you just have a young team, and I love that. I love you have a young quarterback, a young running back. You have a young wide receiver in Neighbors. Theo, what's his last name? I forgot his last name, but the tight end. Like you have a very young offense that is going to grow and mesh together. So I love it. I think if you're on a rebuild, if you're one of those coaches that is good and ready to come into a franchise on a rebuild, the Raiders, I think, are the best just because they need a quarterback now. They went out and got the running back.
Mhm.
They also need wide receivers. They have no receivers. I like Trey Tucker. He's probably a good number two piece, but now they need to go out and find their number one wide receiver. You got Brock Bowers. I like the O line. The defense needs to be fixed a little bit. I like the Raiders as far as the um, best of the project teams in a sense. If you're the Jets, of course, have all those draft picks, so they're going to be the team where I really can come in and do it. I can mold this team the way I want. New
No,
quarterback.
Aaron Glenn coming in. Aaron Glenn came back.
Oh
He
yeah,
was supposed
Aaron. I
to be
forgot
back.
they got Aaron Glenn. My bad.
Yeah, they
Tennessee.
didn't.
Tennessee's
Yeah,
another one.
Tennessee is the one.
But see,
Tennessee.
Tennessee is a weird one for me because they got Cam and they got
Mhm.
Ao Maynard on offense, and I like their tight end. That's it. They need a running back. They need the O line. They need a lot of O line. They need hella receivers. The defense also like that is a pure project team, and I'm not sure what coach I would want to come in. I don't know if you need a veteran coach or a young
Mhm.
college coach or just a young coach that looking for an opportunity. Tennessee is a interesting job because it's hard to tell which direction you need to go in as far as coaching.
Well,
Um,
the thing is, I'm pretty sure that they're going to try to find somebody that can deal with Cam Ward because they just drafted him number one overall last year. So I think that team. Now, the one that's interesting is the Cardinals' job because it's like,
yes, I keep forgetting about that one.
do
Yeah.
you think do you think you can do something with Kyler Murray? Is the
Or are we
organization
moving on
ready?
from
Yeah,
Kyler?
is the organization ready to move on from Kyler Murray? And what are they going to do about it? Or do you think you can work with Kyler Murray?
I'm gonna be honest. Kyler need to just go ahead while he's still young and just go to baseball, bro. Like, just go ahead. You did football for a couple years. You made your money.
Mhm.
Now go make that big money over there. You're still at an age where you can be a pitcher because you haven't thrown your arm out from football.
I want to say he
He could be
was.
a closer or a
I
reliever
want to say
and
he was
still
like a.
make big money.
Yeah, but I think he was like an outfielder.
Was he?
I
I
don't know
thought he
if he
was
was
a.
an outfielder.
Hold on, let
No,
me
he
look.
was like an outfielder or an infielder. I can't remember. He played defense. He wasn't a pitcher. I can't remember what position he played, but he wasn't a pitcher. But the thing is though, Kyler's gonna stay because football was always his first love. He was
He
just
was an
really good.
outfielder because he
He
was
was
drafted
That's
ninth
what I thought.
overall
By
by
the
the
A's.
A's.
Yeah. It's to me, it's like he still got, I think, a couple years left on that extension that he signed, if I'm not mistaken. So it's like he's got time left on that extension. It's just a matter of, you know, will he play through this extension? Is he gonna did his love for the game fade enough to where he's willing to go to baseball and leave football behind? I
Yeah,
don't
and
think he did.
because the A's still own his contract as of right now.
Oh
Like
no,
I
they
always,
yeah.
honestly, I always said Russell stayed in football too long. Even though Russell was great and good, I think Russell was another one where he probably I think even though he's had immense success in football, of course, I think he should have chose baseball. I think he would have been a much better. He was a pitcher. I do know that, but I think Russell would have been way better. Um, but you had Kyler who was drafted in the top 10 in the MLB draft the year before, and then the next year he goes number one in the NFL draft. So it's like he could have chose either road that he wanted to go. But I think this is a time where he should just try baseball. Do a Dion, man. Do an MJ. Walk away from baseball. I mean football for a little while. Go to baseball and make sure that this is what you want to do and where you want to be. Hell, do a Dion. Do both. Figure out how to do both.
Yeah, I just think that like this whole hiring cycle right now, um, for the NFL is gonna be really interesting because one of the most interesting rumor that I heard was that the Dolphins were in contact with John Harbaugh.
Everybody's going to be in contact with Harbaugh. I'm gonna be honest.
Wait, the
Hell,
Dolphins
we
don't even
might be
have
in
a head.
contact.
Wait,
Sirianni might be on his way out. Might be
the
lose. Let me
Dolphins
tell you
don't
something.
even have a coaching vacancy.
They don't. Nobody does. But it's one of them things. Like right, I got my quarterback. But let's say a Lamar Jackson or a Pat Mahomes hit the market, right? I got my quarterback, but I'm gonna go over here. I'm not. I ain't gonna act like I'm not gonna talk to Lamar or Pat Mahomes. I'm not gonna act like you know what I mean. Like we've seen it before with quarterback when a Brett Favre hit the market. Do you think teams that had quarterbacks did not? Who had a quarterback when he went there? Was it Minnesota or was it the Jets that had a quarterback? But he came
Um,
in and it was like you got your quarterback, but look who
damn,
hit
I
the
can't
market.
remember. I can't remember who it was, but the thing is though,
So I'm not
like
surprised anybody is interested in Harbaugh. I think the most surprising thing is the disrespect that I've seen from a lot of Ravens fans. It's
it's
weird to me, man. Like I
fucking
get that y'all
insane.
were ready for him to go. There's nothing wrong with that as fans. Nothing at all. He waited out. I think he was there way too long. 18 was a long time. He probably should have been gone about 2 or 3 years ago. He should have been gone around 15, maybe 13.
Hell
18.
no. Hell no. Man, bruh, this dude, the last couple years, they made the playoffs, won the division, and had like a fucking, they won at least 10, 11, 12 games the last
But I'm
three
gonna be
years.
honest with you. I'm kind of with everybody on Tomlin too. I think Tomlin's been there too long. Even though he's had the winning records, even though he's made the playoffs, barely made the playoffs, not made them by one game or whatever, broke even. I think even this season, win or lose, I think also these two franchises they're very different, right? So the Steelers have their history. They've only had 3 head coaches, but their head coaches are there for 20 plus years, each one of them. Then
Hmm.
you have the Ravens who've been around since 96. Two of their head coaches had what? The first head coach had 2 years. Billick had what?
I can't remember how many he had, but here's the thing.
But then Harbaugh comes in and has
Har-
the
Har- Har-
longest tenure,
Harbaugh been there for
18.
18 years.
18.
Guess how
That's a
many times the Ravens have missed the playoffs? Six.
I get that. I get that. But it gets to the point where when you look at that roster, right? And a lot of people wanted to blame Lamar for the longest time. And we look at the last two seasons, and it was not on Lamar. I look at the playoffs last year. That last play was not on Lamar. He put the ball where it needed to be. Somebody else didn't catch the ball. I look at this season. I look at the fumbles. Yeah, he was injured, and the team stayed afloat while he was gone. He came back and he balled out, but then you got fumbles. You got drop passes that he put the ball where it needed to be, and the receivers aren't catching the ball. You got the defense giving this up and giving that up. You got the coaches not, what I mean? It's a lot of stuff where it was not Lamar's fault at all. You have to start looking, and it sucks, but you do have to start looking at the top. I think also the GM needs to go. He drafts horribly. He does. I be in the Raven spaces with Quan and them, so I hear what the fans are saying, but then I start watching what they're saying, and I'm like, okay, I see that. And I think it just was time for Harbaugh. The problem now is, and DJ said this, I don't know if you really be looking at the rundown chat, but DJ was right. Ooh, I said that out loud. Jesus Christ. But who's next? That's the question. You get rid of Harbaugh. Who do you go get? Because you just can't go get anybody after Lamar. I mean, after Harbaugh. You
So
can't just bring in anybody.
that's always my question when people say
Who's next?
we need to get rid of this person. Who do you get to replace him then?
Yeah, like offense, when it's a
Can you do
coordinator,
better?
it's a little easier. I feel like when it's a coordinator, that's not as hard, right? Because I can go find a coordinator. I can plug and play. I can fire a coordinator mid-season and go bring somebody else in. Like that's not head coaches are totally different where you're giving them the keys to the entire franchise. But also that head coach and the GM need to be, I still think that GM needs to be fired next. They just need to clean house and just start over totally. It's so crazy to say you need to start over with the Ravens because you're talking about a team that has a a, a, a Hall of Fame. I'll say at this point, Lamar's a Hall of Fame quarterback. You definitely have a Hall of Fame running back in the backfield with Henry, who still has another 2 years maybe on him. Even at his age, he's a freak athlete, so he still has about 2 years. I don't think his production did go down just a bit this year. He got to work on his hands as far as holding on to that ball. They need to go out and get receivers for Lamar. Like really get receivers this time. Not just like he needs some people that's gonna help stretch the field. His legs help stretch the field on its own, but you need receivers that are fast and can get open when he does start moving out of the pocket.
I
Where
think
he
what they
don't have to
really
run.
need is a solid, like they need a real wide receiver one. They need a guy that
That too.
a
That's
guy
the
you
biggest
can
part.
go to and depend on, and it's not our tight end. We need a guy on the outside that
It's
we can.
good that your tight end is one of your best
Oh, I mean
receivers,
it's
but he shouldn't
cool,
be
but it's like
the best receiver.
you gotta find a wide receiver,
And
not
that's
a
what,
running
like,
back,
remember
not a
same thing
tight
I
end.
just same thing I just said about the Raiders. You got Brock Bowers, who is a dog.
That's
I
like Dre was
love.
saying earlier. He couldn't believe that they traded. The only reason why they traded Jacoby Myers is because they knew we don't have a quarterback that can really get him the ball.
Yeah, and we're hindering him. Let's respect
And
him and let him go somewhere where he can thrive.
let's at least get a draft pick for him
Yeah,
because we
he's
know we're
gonna
gonna be
walk.
rebuilding.
Yeah, he's gonna walk.
Exactly. Why not? We're
But that's
not
why I
gonna
said
want to really
I like
pay
Trey
him.
Tucker. I think Trey Tucker was a number. He was definitely a number two, number three. I think now he can be a number two. They just have to go get the right number one to go along with him. And my thing is, with that first round draft pick that they got, you clearly have to address quarterback first.
Mhm.
Um, I think next year, if they're still in the same position, you got a Jeremiah Smith, a Ryan Williams. They may not get that number one this year as far as their wide receiver. It could be free agency. It could be the draft next year with as if Jeremiah Smith or Ryan Williams decides to come out next year after their junior years. But they're going to be highly touted wide receivers next year.
Hey, truth
Um,
be told, Ryan Williams lost himself a hell of a lot of money this past year.
ooh,
He lost himself a hell of a lot of money because I don't know what was
he
going on with
disappeared.
him. It was like
Amazing freshman year and
his
sophomore
constant.
year.
He had way too many fucking drops. There were routine plays that he couldn't make. There was
Mhm.
just a lot of shit that looked like
I'm gonna be honest. If Jeremiah Smith could leave this year, I think he would.
because
If
my
he
thing was like what's going on with him? Like what happened to him? Like
Mhm.
it's got to be something else going on.
Too much too
Uh,
fast.
it could be too much too fast. It could just be like just like these kids be dealing with shit sometimes and they get in their own heads and it's stuck with them. But I I really think that a combination of like when his season started off bad in that first game of the year against Florida State, I think that's what set the tone for the rest of his year. And I
Mhm.
think the injury kind of fucked him up and messed him up. And I think that whole the beginning of his year was messed up, and that just bled into the rest of the year to him,
And the
and
good
that
thing
that
about
that's
it,
what messed him up for the rest of the year to me.
and I think the good thing is he's a sophomore, so he still has
Hmm.
one more year. Well, he got two more technically, but a lot of players start looking at
Right,
junior year as far as if they want to leave or
right,
not.
right.
So if he is to just leave, he has one more year where he can. And we know how the NFL is, not the NFL, but college. A lot of players are mediocre freshman and sophomore year and turn up their junior year, and they go from like fifth, sixth round picks to first, second round picks out of nowhere because they had that
We've seen it
one
happen.
great year.
We've seen it happen, and,
So
and a lot of the times it's that year when the light bulb finally goes off and everything clicks for that kid, and he's able. And I've even seen it where I've seen kids where they've had a pretty good freshman year, pretty good sophomore year, and for whatever reason they just take off that junior or that senior year. Or and I mean we've even seen it like I put it to you like this one player that I know I saw peaked his sophomore year and kind of throttled it down the junior year, Jadavian Clowney. Jadavian
oh
Clowney was
yeah,
the number one player coming out of high school into his freshman year. Freshman year was okay. Sophomore year was like, what the hell? This guy, he could be the number one pick this year. That junior year, he kind of dialed it back a little bit because he already knew I'm going to be a top pick in the NFL draft.
because
He
his
kind of
sophomore year
dialed
was
it
that year. Was it the sophomore year where he had that crazy sack where he grabbed the
that
ball?
no,
Or was that junior year?
that was his sophomore year against Michigan in the bowl game when
Yeah.
he
Oh
hit
my
the
God,
running
that
back
play
in the he hit the running back in the matter of fact, I want to say the
took it out of
tackle
his hands
I want to say the
as he
tackle that he
sacked him.
beat on that play was Taylor Lewan, who played left tackle for the Titans for a number of years.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love their podcast. Busting with the
So
boys.
it's a
Love it.
good one.
I love
So
it.
like when he beat him, I'm like, damn, like this one of the best offensive linemen in college football. And he just whooped the shit out of him.
And who was the running back? He blew that running back out, bro.
Oh,
Pause.
I can't
And just
remember his
took. I'm talking about
name,
like I've
man.
never seen somebody get hit as he's taking like at the same time, pop
Bro,
and taking the ball
that
all in
one
one
play,
motion and
that
just
one play right there.
that might be the top play in college football. That's one of I've watched clips. I think that's still one of the top five plays in college football history. Like it's a lot of history, but
It's
that
crazy.
is
It's crazy. But yeah, man, like it's just I love seeing these kids grow and develop and watching them play and seeing their careers and how it ends up and everything. But the one thing that I will warn all these guys about, and
it's gonna
like
be an
I
interesting
will
draft
warn
this
these
year.
fans about is you got to remember when guys go from college to the NFL
Yeah, please say
or
it.
from college to the NBA or
Please say it.
whatever that pipeline is, you have to give them grace because
Yes.
it's just because they perform well in college does not mean they're going to perform that well on the professional level.
We watched Caitlin Clark tear up college. And that first and we talked about it last year.
Hmm.
She benefited from that Olympic break so much because I think
Hmm.
she got to sit back, calm down, get healthy, train, and then focus up. And she
Hmm.
dogged that second half of the season.
Yep.
Um,
I
and a
think
lot
I
of
think
times it's just that the game is faster.
it's
It's
way faster on the because you got to think about it. You're playing against the top 1% of the 1%.
yep.
You're playing against the best of the best. And like I'll never forget talking to one of my homeboys, and he was like, "Bro, he was like, when I ran my 40 and stuff at the combine, and everybody was like, oh, this, that, and the third. He was like, it didn't matter how fast I was. He was like, because if I didn't understand the coverages or if so and so could do this or do that, he was like, they would beat me off the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
He was like, so he was like, bro, like I ran a 4.27. He was like, I could be lined up against a guy who ran a 4.54. But if his footwork and his technique is better than mine, he gonna
Yep.
beat me.
Fat that fast don't mean nothing. That just means if as a wide receiver, all right, cool. You ran a let's hypothetically say you like you just said a 4.27, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. He fast as hell. But if
Mm-hmm.
he can't run routes, and let's say he's not even that tall. Let's say he's 5'10, 5'9,
Mm-hmm.
5'10, right? And he's going against a corner that's 6'2. And all he can do is run fast, but he ain't got hands. You blew past him, but then what? I'm gonna put the ball out there and you're not gonna catch it.
Bro, we used to talk about it all the time, and he was like, because we both like bigger, more physical receivers.
Me
That's
too.
like our favorite prototype of receiver or whatever. And he was like,
All I recruit on college football is like 6'3" and up. Like if you're not six
one of
three,
the
we can't talk.
one of the guys I remember he used to talk about. He was like Julio was like just a fucking freak of
Man,
nature, but he was like AJ Green, Julio, T.O., of course Moss. But it was guys like that were
AJ
like big
Browns,
and physical and could run.
Terry
He was like,
McLaurin's.
those are the ones that get. He was like, the smaller guys. He was like, it was a matter of jamming them good enough to where you could stay with.
Yep.
But he was like the bigger physical guys that could run a little bit. He was like, those were the ones
The
that like gave.
TOs, the
Yeah,
Ocho, even Ocho. And Ocho won't big, but that
Ocho was
footwork, oh my
tall.
God.
He wasn't like a physical guy, but he was 6'2", and his footwork and technique was impeccable. That's what set him apart. And that's like it's the same thing like in the NBA. If I see a guy shooting 40% from three in college, I'm like, okay, where is he shooting those threes from? Is he shooting that right up on the line, or is he shooting it a couple steps back from the line? And like that's why I love some of the analytics now where I can see, okay, if I see a guy in college is shooting 37, 38% from three, but he's also taking the majority of his threes, like from 22, 23, 24 feet. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, he's not taking his threes from that 19 feet, 9 inches or that 20 feet. You know what I'm saying? He's taking them a few feet back.
Megatron. Yeah.
Oh, that he was like the biggest
Andre
freak of nature.
Johnson,
It was guys like Megatron, Andre Johnson, Terrell Owens. Those were guys that Julio Jones. Those were
Marvin
guys that really.
Harrison's.
No, I'm talking about the bigger physical guys that could run past you,
Oh,
like
okay,
the
okay.
6'2", 6'3", and up guys that could run past you. Like those guys were the ones that really changed the game of football. It was the guys like the Marvin Harrisons, the Torrey Holtz, and the Isaac Bruces that brought really being a route technician into the game. Jerry Rice and all of them. Jerry Rice ran a 4.6 at his combine. Most people, and he's coming from Mississippi Valley State, so most people wasn't thinking this is going to be the greatest receiver in the history of the game. But when he got in that Bill Walsh offense, and it was that West Coast offense where you got certain routes and certain route combinations that you run and whatnot, and it's built on timing and route running, he could thrive. And we saw Jerry Rice because of his technique and his footwork and his commitment to being great. We saw this man play into his 40s, giving people the business.
Yeah.
So it's like you got so many different types of receivers and so many different types of like ball players and whatnot. Like fuck, I'll even get in deep as far as like MLB. Like the MLB is really where analytics really got started with Moneyball and all of that with the Oakland A's and
I
Beanie and
love
all
that
of
movie.
them. Bruh, like that's where analytics really got started in modern day sports is with the Oakland A's and Billy Bean and them. And if you go back and you look at those teams that the Oakland A's built, it was strictly through the draft, hardly ever any free agency, and they broke it down to a legitimate, a quantifiable numerical science on how to draft players and who to play in certain situations and whatnot. Now the whole game of baseball is like that. Now analytics has infiltrated other sports. So it's just one of those things where you gotta find players that will match your system. And when you're going from college to the pros, you have to find guys whose skill sets will translate. And that's my overall arcing point about this whole last bit of this conversation that we have before we close everything out is like you gotta find guys whose skills translate. Because if their skills don't translate to the next level, you can't use them. And you can't say just because they perform well on the college level that they're going to perform well on the pro level. That just does not happen. That's a pipe dream. And I need a lot of y'all to wake up, touch some grass, breathe some fresh air, and do some study because that is not how things go. Okay? I need y'all to really focus in and pay attention to that. And just because Mel Kiper or Todd McShay or whoever else this guy is on TV or radio or this podcast that you're watching or listening to said XYZ about a certain player is not gospel. They get stuff wrong. Trust me, I know. I've gotten shit wrong before. But it's not like I'm going to bag away or shy away from it. I'm going to admit, yeah, I fucked up. I got that wrong. I thought that this kid wasn't going to do shit and he was great. Or I thought this kid was going to be great and he wasn't shit. It happened. But the biggest thing is don't fool yourself into thinking something is going to turn out a certain way. And when it doesn't, it's not your fault. It's, oh, this is stupid. That is stupid. The biggest thing I see, like people fool themselves with stuff like that, is pro wrestling. And y'all know I'm a wrestling fan. Always have been, always will be. But I see it a lot in wrestling where fans will think that certain things should go a certain way. And when those things don't happen, they get pissed off. It happens in sports all the time. Fans think that, oh, we got this guy and we drafted this guy and this, that, and the third, and it should be this, that. No, it doesn't always happen like that. It doesn't always happen the way you want it to, or the way you feel like it should, or whatever. It just doesn't. And so, what I think a lot of people need to do, temper your expectations, calm it down a little bit, and focus on what really matters. Can this person help my team? How does their skill sets translate to the next level or whatever? And that's what you really need to look at. Because if their skill sets can translate into the type of offense you run and
I
you
can
can
see me now.
play,
Shit.
yeah, you good now. But if their skill sets can translate to the next level and to the type of system that your team runs, okay, cool, it'll work. But it does not always work out in your favor.
Yeah.
Uh, Another thing that I'll compare it to is like I've seen and heard of guys who have great amateur records in boxing. And they get to the pros and it's like you're trying to shield them from this and shield them from that because you know he has certain weaknesses. And the minute he goes against a fighter who can expose those weaknesses, he gets exposed. And so the same thing can happen in other pro sports. If you got a running back who's not good in pass protection and he's and the team picks up on that and they're like, oh shit, this guy can't pass protect on third down. He's not going to be getting on the field very much on third down. If you got a guy who cannot defend the pick and roll in the NBA, teams are going to find that out and they're going to exploit that. And so it's just one of those things, man, where I tell people all the time, it's about the translation of your skill set from the amateur level to the pro level. And if you can make that work, cool. If you can't, you fuck.
Yeah.
I
And
don't
that's,
know
I
how
mean,
to.
like you were saying before the computer had cut off, I was switching the light and damn plug came out. But yeah, you just have to give these rookie players, like I was sitting in a space and I'm hearing people talk about Jaden Daniels and they're like, look at him last year. Everybody was so da-da-da, and then this year. And I'm like, the man was injured this year. What are we talking about? There was no slip or anything this year. It's
Mhm.
just he got injured. It happens in sports. I mean, he was injury prone coming in a little bit, but still, like he got injured this year. Outside of that, he would have had another fantastic year. Like I don't, I didn't understand that. it's like there people look at these draft picks now, and it sucks because you're looking at the Jets, right? You're looking at the Saints, Raiders. All three need quarterbacks. Even though y'all got Tyler Show, you need a quarterback. But people are looking at these players now to come in day one and change the entire franchise around day one. I think the one thing about Tennessee that I love is that they understand Cam can only do but so much, and he's only gonna be able to change but so much. But I love Cam Ward's attitude. I love it's no nonsense, but it's also like, nah, bro, we all need to be held accountable. Like,
Hmm.
I did my part,
The,
but where were you at? We lost as a team.
the
Doesn't matter
thing
what I
is,
did. It doesn't
the
matter that
thing
I
is,
threw for 400
with
yards.
Cam,
We lost.
he's the kind of guy that's going to go out there and he's going to put in the work.
Yep.
He's going to do all the extra stuff that you need him to do as the leader of the team and
Hmm.
whatnot. And he's going to ball out. He's going to play. It's just a matter of is everybody else going to, live up to what he's doing? Are
Hmm.
they going to rise up to his level of execution? And that's one of the things that like teams do these background checks and these interviews and stuff like that because they want to know these guys coming in. What is your mentality like? Because out there on the field is one thing, but I need to know what you got going on between your ears because that's where the most important play is
And
coming in.
that's why he went number
Is,
one
is up
over
here.
everybody else,
Up
is
here.
what was up here more than anything else.
It's up here and in here. If you got this and you got this, I could work with everything else. If
I
you're
have a question for you
coachable,
too.
okay.
No, no, go ahead. I was just saying, like, once
No,
you're
I'm
done,
saying if you got it between the ears and you got it in here, like you may lack athleticism, arm strength, whatever it is, but I can find a way to coach you and everything else. You solid. But if you don't have that, I you can have all the athletic ability in the world. I can't work with
so we've been gone a couple weeks now, which is good actually, in a
you.
sense.
Hmm.
I'm looking at also that's another job we did not talk about. I like the Browns job a lot too. I'm gonna tell you why I like it though. I like the Browns job because I think that defense is set already. That D line, I like the linebackers. They do need to go out and get better corners, and maybe address the safety room just a little bit. But I love the offense. Quinshawn Judkins coming, getting like once he finally got the job, that's they start running back. I like the receivers that they have. I like that Isaiah Bond. I said it when Isaiah Bond got through all that legal stuff, and the Browns were the ones who got him. I was like, oh yeah, that's about to be something. Because I thought Isaiah Bond was one of the top receivers coming out last year or this year. Last year. Um, Shador actually is their future. Like now, everybody was like, well, he was drafted, and even you, he was drafted where he was drafted for a reason, for different reasons. One was on field stuff, but also, the other was the off the field. And I still feel like it was somewhat of collusion in a sense. Clearly, Stefanski, that was not his guy, and he made it very clear that he wasn't. And he didn't play Shador until he absolutely had no other choice but to play him. But then you start looking at the win loss record, and you actually start thinking like, had we started, and I'm not we because I'm not a fan, but as a franchise, had we started him from the beginning, would our season? And I mean, every you're always going to ask those questions, but would our season have been any different? Those some of those games that we lost that were very close games that they lost because they were in a lot of games. Would it have gone different? Would we have won instead of having Flacco, instead of having Dylan Gabriel? Because his win loss record was great. He's made the I think the next head coach has to make that decision. Are we gonna stand with Shador and ride with him going forward with what he's already starting to build with the offense? And with the team in general, because even the defense is with him. Like when you got your top player on your team, not just the defense, but your top player on your team, your number one guy on your team, is his biggest advocate. Do we stick with the young boy and build his confidence up more of what he can do with that offense? Or do we start looking at, because you got to also remember, Mr. Nasty Man will be back next year.
and
And that's where the real discussion honestly comes in.
contract is
Who's
fully
number
guaranteed.
one?
That job is not attractive to me because I don't want to have to deal with the headache of the quarterback situation. I
That's
don't
the
give,
only part of it.
I don't give a fuck about that defense. The quarterback situation is the worst, and that you're not in a position to draft one.
Gabriel
You
stays at
don't
number
have enough
two.
money to sign one, and
I
it's like,
think
what the fuck do we do?
I think Gabriel stays. Gabriel moves to three. I think Deshaun gets the job back if he's fully healthy, right? And this is my opinion. I think Deshaun gets the job back initially, but you keep developing Shador because you can keep developing him without him actually being on the field. If it's the correct coaching staff and all of that, he can still be developed correctly without actually being the number one quarterback. So you give the job back to Deshaun, but also with Deshaun understanding that you are now a mentor. You're that bridge player between you moving on from us and then Shador moving in after this season or 2 seasons or whatever. You know what I mean?
Hey,
But it has to be the correct head coach. Deshaun has to buy in, and Shador. I think Shador is fine regardless. No matter what moves, I can tell he's happy to be here right now. He
I'm gonna
knows
put it
who
to you
he
like
is and
this:
what he is.
that Cleveland job, I'd rather take the Arizona job before I take the Cleveland job.
I don't like the Arizona job.
I
I
don't, and
think,
I can't stand Arizona because of the owners. But it's like shit.
yeah, I don't like that Arizona job at all.
I
I
don't
think
like
it's,
neither one of them jobs, but I
but
think I would take
I like,
Arizona before I take Cleveland.
it's weird. I like Arizona's offense. I think Trey McBride is, oh my God, he's amazing. I love him at
That's what
tight
I'm
end.
saying,
I
bro.
love their
If
running
you
back
get
room. They got three good running
listen,
backs. When they're healthy, they really got three really solid running
Connor
backs.
got hurt for the fucking season, like in the second game. I know
Yeah,
because I had him on my fantasy
then your
team.
second string quarter running back gets hurt. Then your third string. Like,
Exactly. So
bro,
it was
they
like,
and but when each one of them came in, they balled out. Like, I think
hey,
you have Marvin Harrison Jr. You got Cadillac Marv. You know what I mean? You got
you got you
Maserati Marv. I'm sorry, not Cadillac.
you
You got
could
Maserati Marv. They have a lot.
you got stuff to work with
You just
there.
have to look at that quarter. I mean, I ain't gonna say it's a bad quarterback situation, but you really have to look at the quarterback situation over there and decide what to
I
do.
would take the Cardinals quarterback situation over the Browns.
I mean, yeah, if I'm a coach that, so it depends on what type of coach you are. It just depends. Are
That's
you
true
are
too.
you a
That's true
rebuilder
too.
or are you come in and just tweak and fix? Because the Browns' job is a rebuild. I think they have to be careful. I like Raheem for that job. I can't really explain fully why. But also, I was talking to me and Jeff was talking about this right before I had, was getting ready because me and him was talking, and he said something that made so much sense. Raheem really is just he's a D coordinator. He's really just a coordinator. I don't think he's a head coach. He's tried it a couple times, and he's a coordinator. Either
Who
that or
that?
he's gonna Raheem, the Atlanta coach that just got
Raheem
fired.
Morris?
Yeah, I
Oh,
think he's a bridge
interesting.
coach. I think he's also a bridge coach. Like
I
you bring
think
him in right before you hire the coach you really want,
I think
like
I
that type
think
thing.
I think he could have done better in Atlanta
I think so. I think he was
had
perfect for
we
Atlanta too.
found a a, a, a better quarterback that could trigger that offense. Like I put it to you like this: had they not given Kirk Cousins all that money, or had they not drafted Penix, one of the two. Well, I think honestly, if they would have had Kirk Cousins, they still could have done a little something.
I think it was the money they gave, and that's on the
I
owner and the
think it was
GM. That has nothing to do with Raheem.
they 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 paid him a shitload of money coming off an injury.
Too much. We said that it was
Yeah, it was way too much money
way too
coming,
much.
especially coming off an injury. And I just think that when they drafted Penix, that made it even worse.
And Penix was the right choice. I still believe he was the correct choice.
For for whatever
But
reason, I
I
don't
think
feel
they
like
should have got
he
a. I
like I
feel
put
like
it
they
to
could
you
have got
like
a
this.
wide receiver right there.
If you
If you're
were
gonna
so if you committed that much money, especially that much guaranteed money and stuff to Kirk Cousins, why the hell would you draft a quarterback top 10?
in the top 10,
The
I think
very next or the same offseason or the very next year, whatever it was. I'm not even about to spend time looking it up because it just the shit just didn't make no sense to me. But it's like that I have a draft pick to the same position you just spent a shitload of money on. It just doesn't make sense. And the amount of years that you have Penix guaranteed under that rookie deal to the time that you have to make a decision on him for his 5th year contract coincides with you getting rid of this high price free agent quarterback that you had. The shit just didn't line up. It just didn't make sense. Like if Cousins had 1 or 2 years left on his contract, I could see that. Because then it's like,
mhm.
okay, we're going to draft the future. You just signed this guy. Like it was a waste of resources. Trust me, as a Saints fan, I was happy that they did some dumb shit like that. But at the
Because I
same
feel
time,
like I'm gonna be honest, and I'm looking at it right now real quick. We had Michael Penix at 8. You had Roma Dunze, who was the next pick at number 9. You could have went out and got another receiver to go with Drake London. Like if you already are paying a quarterback that much, you have your quarterback.
the other thing
You could have
was
went
is
and got Roma
that
Dunze.
that
It
team
won't
had
no other
more
wide
money.
receiver after him. Brian
But it was
Thomas Jr.
but it
went
was the thing.
23.
But this was my thing. They needed defense.
Worthy went 28. Yeah, they could have went defense also because right after that, uh, who's the next defensive player that came off after him? Latu. Latu went to the Colts, the
Mhm.
edge. You had Brian Murphy from Texas, the D tackle that went 16. Dallas Turner from Bama went to Minnesota. He's an edge. Jared Verse went 19. He could have been in Atlanta. I remember Jeff kept saying that's who we wanted. You had
Mhm.
him. Chop Robinson from Penn State went to Miami. I mean, it just depends on where on the defense. We took Kenyon Mitchell at 22. I'm so glad we did. Like I said, you had Terry and Arnold went to the Lions at 24. It was a lot of defense that went after that in different ways you could have went. Also, it was a lot of offense. There were some
Hey,
key offensive
listen.
players that went.
Uh, they could have drafted the same tackle out of Oregon State that the Saints drafted. They could have had
Yep.
shit,
Fuega.
Byron Murphy, the tackle that the Seahawks got.
Yep.
I mean, bro, it was
There's
some
so many
players.
different ways they could have went other than quarterback after you just
Listen,
paid a
man.
quarterback. Like
Listen,
I get it,
listen.
but unless you gonna stash that quarterback, anytime you draft a quarterback top 10, the fans are gonna be like, "Oh, okay, cool. He the future." They're gonna go look at
Exactly.
him and they're like, "I like him. Why is he not starting?"
Exactly.
And he's a black quarterback in Atlanta.
Yeah. To me, I'm gonna put
I
it to
gotta
you
go
like
back from to the beginning and watch your trade. I know you said something about Trey Young. Oh,
no,
I love that
it's
trade.
the whole thing was.
I
I
love
think
that
there's gonna
trade.
be some other stuff involved. I can't. I haven't seen if there's other stuff involved. If there is no draft picks involved,
And it's just a straight up 2-for-1.
it's a horrible trade.
Hey, I'm gonna be honest. I think,
Horrible.
well, I ain't gonna say horrible. I'm gonna tell you, Atlanta gets off of his contract and both win in a sense.
No, but see that was the thing that I said. The only way I will let the Hawks off the hook is if McCallum and Casper are on expiring deals and they find another deal for them to trade them or they buy them out or something and they just have a shitload of cap space going into this offseason and they have a plan for how they want to spend it.
Yeah. That's the only way
Okay,
I'm
cool.
cool with it because
Okay,
now
cool.
it puts you in the sweepstakes for Giannis. It
Because
puts you
listen,
in the
no,
it
but
puts
this
you in
is
the sweepstakes for a lot for Atlanta. I think moving off the Trey Young contract because
the,
those other two contracts are clearly less than what his is in a sense, or at least they might
I
equal up
don't
to it or
I
something
don't
like
feel
that.
like
I need to look that up later, but
I
hold on,
don't
let me see
feel
if
like they
Adam if
have the ammo to trade for a Giannis unless they start trading draft picks.
nah, and Giannis has two. How many more years?
I think it's two. I think it's this year and next year, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember. I gotta look it up again. But my only thing is, I just he Trey Young wanted to go to Washington too.
which is what I like. But I remember in the group chat, I said in the house, I actually do like. I don't think Washington is like the way he was saying it. Like, oh, you go to Washington, they trying to kill you. Like you go there to die. That's not the thing anymore. I like a lot of what Washington has. I like Sar at the at center. They have the correct pieces, and Trey Young saw something. For him to say, "Hey, that's where I want to go," he could have went. He could have said he wanted to go to LA to, but either LA team, Houston. He literally clearly the way Atlanta was moving, they sent him where he wanted to go. Right? He could have said he wanted to go anywhere in the NBA.
It's
He
like I
said
said earlier.
Washington.
He
I
went
love
from
it.
the team that was on the fringes of making the playoffs to the team that has
Uh-huh.
the fourth worst record in the league.
Which is crazy. But that I think, but see, I think with Trey, he's putting that on his back. Like, I'm about to come up here and we about to turn this around. And I think he could. I like the young pieces that they have. You got the big man, now you got the point guard. You got the pieces in the middle. Cause I like oh my god, what's the light skinned dude with the hair? I think he's small forward, I believe. I don't watch a lot of Washington basketball, but when I
And I'm
do,
trying to think about it. I don't know if they. I don't think they still have. No, they don't have. They don't still have Kelly Oubre.
nah. Well, hold on.
Who
Where's
the
his
fuck?
roster?
Here it goes.
Okay, here we go. Because CJ McCollum's gone now. Because he was in the trade, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you got, I like Alex. It's Keyshawn George. I like Keyshawn George a lot.
Oh yeah. Now I don't remember who you're
I
talking about. Now I remember who you're talking about.
And if you
Okay.
look at this roster, I love it. I like Alex Sarr. I like Keyshawn George. Bilal Kalube has been balling. Chris Middleton is the right vet. Um, I like Trey Johnson. Who else got traded with CJ? You said it was CJ and
Casper. They
oh
got the
Kispert.
rosters right
Oh,
now. Yeah, they
I'm
got the
looking at
rosters
it. Kispert can
on
go.
ESPN. Now here's the thing.
I like the young starting
This
pieces.
is
They need to shore up their bench
I
more.
I don't I just feel
Cam
like
Whitmore
that
is a dog. I like him too.
he
Bub
he
Carrington.
too fucking much, man. Cam Whitmore is a black hole.
But now you got Trey. And I think, like I said, I like him paired with Sar, Keyshawn, Trey Johnson, and Chris Middleton. Middleton's gonna be a good bridge piece, but I like him and Alex Sarr the best. That center guard, having the correct center guard, Trey likes to throw alleys. Sarr like to go up and get them. Sarr gonna give you 30 on a night. Him and fucking it's that French shit. Him and Wimby are like Wimby's better, way better. But Sarr ain't that far off from Wimby. Just like the other boy in Atlanta, the French dude they got. It's something about them French players that from
Oh,
that
I can't
team.
remember. I know who you're talking about. Yeah, Richard.
But yeah, I like the trade. I think we're not gonna see the results of it for another. It's not gonna be this season. Clearly, it may not even be next year. It's gonna be that third year, unless they make other moves this season or next season, like in the off season or whatever. I don't think we're fully gonna see the results of it till year 3, but it could be year 2. I like it. And again, the fact that he wanted to go there says that he sees something in them more than anybody else.
We'll see, man. We'll see how it all plays out. But this has been episode 103 of Sucio Sports.
First one of 2026. I apologize for being
Yes.
late. We're back to weekly. I promise y'all.
We'll holler at y'all next Wednesday.
Yes, we
Holler at
will.
y'all next Wednesday, man. We out of here.
I'm still from Houston.